Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Good evening and welcome to Spring Global on Western Spring Television. Now the headlines. Countries around the world celebrate New Year after 2 years of muted or cancelled events due to the COVID pandemic. At least 9 people killed in crowd crush during New Year festivities in Uganda. Croatia officially adopts the euro as its currency. My name is Okwayemi. Countries around the world have celebrated New Year after 2 years of muted or cancelled events due to the COVID pandemic. Celebrations have taken place in Africa, on the east coast of the United States, and in Brazil, Argentina, and the Caribbean. Cities across Europe and Asia have also held firework-filled festivities marking the start of 2023. In China, huge crowds gathered to take advantage of recently lifted restrictions. Until recently, the country had been following a zero-COVID approach, continuing to enforce strict lockdowns, even as other nations around the world appeared to return to normal. However, the disease is surging across the country, and many places are placing travel restrictions on travelers from China. In London, there was a drone display as part of a tribute to the late Queen Elizabeth. There was also a tribute to Ukraine with the London Eye lit up in blue and yellow, the colors of the Ukrainian flag. Earlier, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak delivered a New Year's message saying it feels good about the future.
I just want people to feel hopeful. I know it's been tough, but I'm really confident that better times lie ahead. And I may have only had the job for several weeks at this point, but actually I feel good about the future. I feel positive about the change that we can bring so that we can improve everyone's lives, so that we can deliver the peace of mind that people are looking for in the here and now.
The Archbishop of Canterbury has urged the government to take action to fix the country's broken social care system. In his New Year message, the Most Reverend Justin Welby said care homes are struggling to deal with rising bills while trying to fund and retain the staff and the need to keep going. Mr. Welby stressed the importance of ensuring the work of carers is properly valued by society.
Our care system is broken, but it doesn't have to be. We can rise to the challenge of fixing it. That means action from all of us, you, me, families, communities, government. In a few weeks' time, the Archbishop of York and I will publish a significant report on social care. It will offer a hopeful vision of our society, one where no one is held back, overlooked, or treated as a burden. Jesus reminds us of the value of every single person, young or old.
Running around, were they?
He challenges me to love everyone as I know he loves me.
That's right.
I wish you all a very happy New Year.
In the meantime, Nigerians stepped into the new year today with prayers, fireworks, and loud cheers as they said farewell to an economically unstable 2022. After 2 previous New Year crossovers under the COVID-19 restrictions, Nigerians trooped to places of worship where they spent the first moments of 2023 with loved ones and fellow worshippers. Hundreds of others who did not make it to worship centers gathered at recreational centers to usher in the new year. Anticipation remains high for 2023 in the country, with general elections scheduled to take place in February and March. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has told Russians that their leader, Vladimir Putin, is destroying their country. Speaking after Mr. Putin delivered a New Year address flanked by people in military uniform, Mr. Zelensky said the Russian president was hiding behind his troops, not leading them. Yesterday saw a day of deadly strikes across Ukraine, and Mr. Zelensky said Ukrainians would not forgive Russia. At least one person died and dozens were injured in the attacks. Officials said there were further missile strikes on Kiev just hours into the new year, but there were no immediate reports of casualties. As explosions rocked the capital, some residents sang the national anthem, while officials accused Russia of deliberately targeting civilians while they gathered to celebrate the new year. The head of Ukraine's armed forces said air defenses had shot down 12 of 20 Russian cruise missiles on Saturday.
Цей рік почався 24 лютого. Без передмов і прелюдій. Різко, рано, о 4 годині. Було темно, було гучно, багатьом було складно, комусь страшно. Минуло 311 днів. Нам все ще може бути темно, гучно і складно. Але нам точно вже ніколи не буде страшно. І ніколи не буде соромно. Це був наш рік. Рік України. Рік українців. 24 лютого ми прокинулись. Інші ми, інший народ, інші українці. Перші ракети остаточно зруйнували лабіринт ілюзій. Ми побачили, хто є хто. На що здатні друзі, вороги, а головне, на що здатні ми самі. 24 лютого мільйони з нас зробили вибір. Не білий прапор, а синьо-жовтий стяг. Не втеча, а зустріч. Зустріч ворога. Опір і боротьба. Вибухи 24 лютого нас оглушили. Відтоді ми не все чуємо і не всіх слухаємо. Нам казали, у вас немає інших варіантів, аніж здатися. Ми кажемо, у нас немає інших варіантів, аніж перемогти. 24 лютого ми почали творити нашу перемогу з багатьох цеглинок, сотень інших перемог. Ми перемогли паніку. Не розбіглись, а зібрались. Ми перемогли сумніви, зневіру, страх. Ми повірили у себе, у свої сили.
In Asia, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has called for developing new intercontinental ballistic missiles and a larger nuclear arsenal to counter US-led threats amid flaring tension between the rival Koreas. At a meeting of the ruling Workers' Party, Kim highlighted the need to secure overwhelming military power to defend its sovereignty and security. The meeting came amid cross-border tensions over last week's intrusion by North Korean drones into the south and the north series of missile launches, including intercontinental ballistic missiles. South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol, during phone calls with military chiefs, called for solid mental readiness and practical training to ensure any North Korean provocations will be met with retaliation. At least 9 people have died in a crowd crush during New Year's festivities in the Ugandan capital, Kampala. A number of children were killed in the incident, which unfolded at a shopping center that hosted a fireworks display. One eyewitness explained that people, including his friend, suffocated after getting caught between crowds that were moving in opposing directions. Big gatherings for New Year's Eve were allowed for the first time since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Kampala police said people had attended a concert at Freedom City Mall in large numbers. Meanwhile, in Afghanistan, an explosion outside the military airport in Kabul today has caused multiple casualties. A spokesman for the Taliban-run Interior Ministry said investigations were underway. It did not specify the nature or target of explosion. Local residents said a loud explosion was heard before 8 a.m. in the vicinity of the military site of the heavily fortified airport. They said the area had been sealed off by security forces and all roads had been closed. Pope Francis has prayed for his predecessor, Benedict XVI, at a special New Year's Day Mass at the service in St. Stephen's Basilica in the Vatican. The pontiff prayed aloud for Benedict and implored the Virgin Mary to accompany him in his passage to the hands of God. It comes after the Pope Emeritus, as Benedict was known after he became the first pontiff to resign in 600 years in 2013, died aged 95 on Saturday. The Vatican said Benedict's body will lie in state in St. Peter's Basilica from Monday. Until then, it will remain in the small monastery within the Vatican where he lived. Benedict's funeral will be held on Thursday in St. Peter's Square in front of the Basilica and will be presided over by Pope Francis. Vatican spokesman Matteo Bruni said the funeral would be simple, solemn, and sober to follow Benedict's wishes. You're watching Spring Global on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Eva is pounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast, detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Welcome back on Spring Global on Western Spring Television. Now to the rest of the stories. Croatia has officially adopted the euro as its currency, becoming the 20th European Union member state to do so. The Balkan nation joined the EU nearly a decade ago, but had to wait until now to qualify as a Eurozone country. After the clock struck midnight, Finance Minister Marko Primorac and National Bank Governor Boris Vucic pulled out the first euro notes from a Croatian cash machine. Croatia has now also entered the Schengen zone, permitting open transport between participating countries. Experts say the adoption of a euro will help shield Croatia's economy at a time when inflation is soaring worldwide after Russia's invasion of Ukraine sent food and fuel prices through the roof. But feelings among Croatians are mixed. Meanwhile, European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde said it was a real joy to welcome Croatia.
Thank you for 2022 and Happy New Year to everyone in 23. For us at the ECB, this New Year's Day is especially important because we are welcoming a new member in our family, Croatia. Welcome. Croatia has shown incredible commitment at every step of the journey towards joining the Euro family. And it's a real joy to have you with us as our 20th member, 20 in 23.
In South America, Colombia has struck a ceasefire deal with 5 illegal armed groups, including El Guerrillas, FARC dissidents, and drug gangs, in a bid to support peace talks. President Gustavo Petro announced a 6-month ceasefire on New Year's Eve. The leftist leader and former guerrilla called the move a bold act. Petro has vowed to end Colombia's internal conflict, which has been going on for nearly 6 decades and has seen at least 450,000 people die. Leftist leader Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva will be sworn in as president of Brazil today on a tightened security in the Brazilian capital, following threats of violence by supporters of his far-right predecessor, Jair Bolsonaro. The ceremony in Congress begins at 6 p.m., after which Lula will go to the Planalto Palace to wear the presidential sash before a crowd of 30,000 supporters, while some 300,000 expected to gather to celebrate on Brasilia's Esplanade. The 77-year-old narrowly defeated Bolsonaro in October to win an unprecedented third presidential term after a break that saw him spend a year and a half behind bars on corruption convictions that were later overturned. In his previous years as Workers' Party president from 2003 to 2010, the former union leader lifted millions of Brazilians from poverty during the commodity boom that buoyed the economy. Now it faces the daunting challenge of improving Brazil's stagnant economy while also uniting a country that has become painfully polarized under Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro left Brazil for Florida on Friday, avoiding having to hand over the sash to his rival, whose victory he has yet to recognize, while also removing himself from any immediate legal risks related to his time in office. Australia and Canada are the latest countries to bring in travel restrictions on arrivals from China. Australia's Health Minister Mark Butler said travelers from China to Australia will need to present a negative COVID-19 test result from 5th January. The test will have to be taken within 48 hours of the departing flight, and the rules will also apply to visitors from Hong Kong and Macau. Earlier in the day, Canada announced it will bring in a similar rule, meaning all travelers from China, Hong Kong, or Macau over the age of 2 will need to show a negative result from a test taken within 2 days of departure. The Canadian government said its measure would be in place for 30 days and will be reassessed as more data became available. The two countries joined a number of others that have brought in restrictions targeting arrivals from China. The concern stems from China's reopening following 3 years of a strict COVID-0 policy that kept borders closed and locals locked down. In the Philippines, authorities halted flights in and out of Manila on New Year's Day due to a malfunction of air traffic control, causing chaos for tens of thousands of travelers. The airport operator said a total of 282 flights were either delayed, cancelled, or diverted to other regional airports, affecting around 56,000 passengers at Manila's Ninoy Aquino Airport. Video clips and photos posted on social media showed long queues at the airport and airlines personnel distributing food packs and drinks to stranded passengers. Iranian police briefly detained several unidentified top-tier football players in a raid on a party on New Year's Eve where alcohol was served in violation of an Islamic ban. Mingling between sexes outside marriage and drinking alcohol are banned under Iran's Islamic laws. Social restrictions are among issues that prompted mass unrest in recent months, following the death in custody of a woman accused of violating the strict dress code. The Saudi official news agency, Tasnim, said several current players and former members of an unidentified top Tehran soccer club had been detained at the party east of the capital. A prosecutor said a case had been filed against those who had been detained, and details will be released later. There was no immediate comment from Iran's Football Federation. And out of the world of tennis, world number 5, Aryna Sabalenka says Wimbledon's decision to ban Russian and Belarusian players from playing in the 2022 tournament changed nothing. Belarusian Sabalenka was one of several top players to miss out of a Grand Slam after Wimbledon imposed the ban following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Organizers were subsequently fined and the tournament was stripped of its ranking points by the ATP and WTA. Speaking to Australian newspaper, The 24-year-old added that they were just athletes playing their sport, not about politics. The All England Lawn Tennis Club, which organizes Wimbledon, is yet to announce if the ban will remain in place for the 2023 tournament. Anita Pointer from the Grammy-winning Pointer Sisters has died aged 74. A publicist announced that she died surrounded by her family at her Beverly Hills home in California. Her family said they were deeply saddened by her passing. The second oldest of the four sisters, Miss Pointer, and her siblings rose to fame with hits including Jump and Fire. In 1975, their hit song, Fairy Tale, won a Grammy Award for Best Country Vocal Performance. The win remains a rarity in a category dominated by white acts. Before we end Spring Global, here's a recap of our top stories. Countries around the world have celebrated New Year after 2 years of muted or cancelled events due to the COVID pandemic. At least 9 people have died in a crowd crush during New Year festivities in the Ugandan capital, Kampala. Croatia has officially adopted the euro as its currency, becoming the 20th European Union member state to do so. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. I am Okpayamuni. Wish you a fruitful new year. Thanks for watching.